Hello folks, today we're going to go over 10 of the most brutal deaths in Demonslayer, noting that this isn't in a particular order. Well, it kind of is and kind of isn't. Also, I'm only going to cover what's happened in the anime so far, so if you're an anime only watcher, then there will be no major spoilers from the manga. Anyway, let's get started. The death of Rui, Lower Moon 5. Before his death, Rui had rained terror not only on the Demonslayers within the forest, but also his own alleged family members. But Tanjiro fights him almost to the brink of death, sustaining heavy damage in the process. Nezuko gets tied up and placed in the air like a piñata. Tanjiro unleashes his Hinokami Kagura, combined with Nezuko's blood demon art, seemingly chops off Rui's head. I just want to say this is one of the most beautiful scenes in anime, and Ufotable did an amazing job portraying that. And then we find out that Rui actually detaches his head, and he was about to kill our hero until Giyu shows up and releases the beast that is 11th form water breathing technique. Dead calm. Honestly, I go back and forth on this one. On one hand, I thought it was kind of lame how Rui didn't die to Tanjiro, but I think where the author really was trying to go here was to showcase the gap in power between our main cast and the Hishira's. Also, Gi is my favorite character, so it worked out. Death of the Suzumi Castle Tongue Demon. This is the first on-screen kill or on-panel kill for Zenitsu. This one was pretty crazy to me because up until this point, Zenitsu is portrayed as a scaredy cat who's more afraid than the kid he's guiding around the castle. You gotta admit, if you don't find Zenitsu annoying, it was fun to see the pure panic he has on his face the entire time they're wandering around the castle. Tongue Demon comes out trying to slurp him up, but then Zenitsu passes out and we get the first glimpse into his power, thunder breathing. In a flash, he chops off his head and his tongue that he was going to use to slurp Zenitsu with. Death of the Spider Demon's son. Next up on the list is the death of Rui's brother, since he's the son in their little makeshift family. This one was pretty cool for Zenitsu, as it showcased his ability for a fast area of effect attack, even with his seemingly limited moveset of breathing attacks, since he can only use form 1 of thunder breathing style. It showed also how precise he can be even at a long distance. He bodies the smaller spider demons first, then zips to the spider demon's son and precisely severs his head. I wanted to say as well that the little spider demons are a little creepy to me because they had faces and stuff. So low-key, I was glad when he finished them off. The spider demon mother using demon slayers against each other. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Nezuko head into the forest and are attacked by seemingly friends. Fellow Demon Slayer Corps members have been taken over. Some are corpses while others are still alive. The gang tries cutting the threads with tiny spiders or just reconnecting them before the bodies can be freed. So this one I thought was particularly brutal because the spider demon mother had the demon slays literally killing themselves, but also while some of them were conscious. Can you imagine you having to fight your best friend to the death when you had zero control? It's almost like they were a kid's action figures crashing against each other till the owner decided it was time to stop playing or one of the toys needed to die. Rui kills random demon slayer. So this one will be quick, but I always thought it was funny that Tanjiro pulls up and an unknown demon slayer tries to one-up him by, killing one of the 12 Kizuki, and he gets turned into sliced birthday cake instead. I said this in my last video, but I always thought this was supposed to signal to the viewer what we would possibly see happen to Tanjiro and Nezuko if and when they fought Rui, losing killing humans. When I was coming up with how I was going to do this video, I had a realization. I damn near can make a whole top 5 video just Muzen's kills alone, as his kills in particular are some of the most brutal in the series. So Buddy pulls up on Muzen while he's dressed like Michael Jackson and he starts insulting his face because he's so pale. Next thing you know, Muzen gets pissed. So why would a self-proclaimed perfect being get bothered by such a lowly human? It's simply because the insults hit home. Prior to gaining his demonic powers, Muzen was dying from disease and was a very sickly person. So I think there are some leftover feelings from his life as a human. Anyway, the unnamed human makes him feel some type of way and he blasts him into a wall. Then he kicks his brother way up into the air and he crashes back down and he dies. My reaction to all this was like, sheesh, he's a little bit upset, huh? Anyway, the creepiest / most brutal part is when Muzen kills the sister, I guess. First he asks her how his complexion looks, and if he looks like he's going to die soon, which is also a reference to his insecurity like I said earlier. Then he grows his nails so that it's longer and sharper and he stabs her in the forehead. He then injects a large amount of his blood into her, and we get a taste of what happens if someone who isn't chosen, quote unquote, gets an ample amount of his blood. Her cells start to implode and her body turns to red demon blood cell goop. Yuck. The death of Kyojo Rengoku. This is probably the death that put Demonslayer fans into their feelings the most. Kyojuro, despite not really having the most screen time, has some of the biggest impact on the characters as well as the audience. Kyojuro in his first appearance stands out as someone who just has that hot-blooded spirit about him, sort of like Might Guy or Rock Lee from Naruto. The viewer just gravitates towards him. Then when we get to the Mugen Train arc, he starts running through pretty much any demon he faces. In the dream world, he has such a strong spiritual core that that kid that was simply destroyed couldn't do it. I remember thinking to myself while watching the movie, like, man, this is what a Hashira can do, huh? He's smoking these demons. Kyojuro as a character has a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see what he does later in the series. And then I looked up at how much time was left in the movie, and after they defeated Enmu, and I was like, what the hell? Akaza drops down, and we learn that it's levels to this shit. Him and Rengoku go at it like monsters, but while Kyojuro is sustaining damage and slowly dying, Akaza is just recovering and begging him to become a demon. Till eventually Kyojuro flies at him with his ninth form, Rengoku, in a blaze of glory. And then he gets donutted and he dies. But what was cool is before he dies, he holds onto his arm as long as possible, almost like a I'm taking you with me type of thing as the sun was coming up. Death of Susumaru, the Tamari Ball Demon. Okay, so this is one of the few times I legitimately got kind of freaked out on the show. Susumaru shows up as a fake 12 Kizuki with the mission to kill the Demon Slayers with the earrings. So as we all know, Susumaru was getting ready to body Tanjiro in the gang until Tamayo hit her with this truth speaking blood spell. Then she explains Muzen's curse, which that curse is simply if any demon speaks his name, there's an auto response from his cells to annihilate the demon that is serving as the host for his cells. So I'm gonna be honest, I thought she was just gonna turn to a pile of blood and that's it. But man, when those arms burst out of her, I almost screamed. Just the way they emerge out of her mouth and stomach in such a grotesque way was one of the most brutal things I've seen in a shonen anime in a long time. And then it gets worse. The hands start to crush her outer body from the inside till there's nothing left but her eye and part of her arm. So this curse moment pretty much killed any hope I had of other demons becoming a good guy later in the series. By that, I mean not Tamayo or Nezuko. Muzen killing the lower moons. The meeting where the lower moons were dismantled was not only brutal, but it also gave some great insight into Muzen's character and his goals. So we know how he feels about humans, but what a surprise is how he feels about his own kind, the demons. He even starts off by saying, just because you're part of the 12 Kizuki, don't start slacking. You aren't even useful to me because you're too weak. You need to devour more humans and this will put you on the path of becoming useful to me. He then torments them about how it's always the upper moons who defeat the strongest demon slayers, the Hashiras. He's actually playing mind games and mentally abusing each of them individually before killing them. With each death, the level of anguish each demon is feeling increases dramatically. I mean, except for one, which is Enmu, who seems to be getting a kick out of the slaughtering. I mean, the type of things he's asking him are basically straw man arguments that he's forcing upon them because he's reading their minds. He's completely taking them to the conclusion of the logic and then killing them. They're literally helpless. They cannot defeat him, they cannot run, and they cannot hide from him. Also, I wanted to point out the obvious. Muzen has a huge god complex. His blood is so sacred, you dare not speak of it, you dare not even think about it. You better not ever suggest you're giving him instructions. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. He finishes them all off after the mind game and then pumps some of his blood into Enmu, and then we go to the Mugen Train incident. The death of Upper Moon 6, Daki and Gyutaro. Now we're on to the most brutal death of them all, but to be honest, it's more crazy and epic as hell than anything. Tanjiro, instead of getting intimidated when he's facing Gyutaro, alone rises to the occasion and headbutts him and then stabs him with a kunai, which reduces the Upper Moon's demonic power temporarily. Zenitsu flies at Daki with his thunder breathing form 1 and launches her into the air. Then the boy Tengen comes flying out of nowhere being flamboyant as ever, saying never give up, and he impales Gyutaro. Tanjiro gets stabbed in the lower mouth. In the back of my head, I'm like, how the hell is this dude not dead? I mean, it hit super close to the neck and could have went through his tongue and he would have bled to death. And then Tanjiro awakens his mark and slices his head, while at the same time Inosuke comes in to help Zenitsu and grinds Daki's scroll neck or whatever the thing's called, and they finish them off. And man, honestly, this is some of the best animation I've ever seen in any anime because the visuals are just beautiful. And that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts on my list, and if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.